to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Hey, everybody. Tom Dutta, like butter. What a great day it's been. I mean, man, I was in studio this morning doing a live with a fella from Washington, D.C., but nothing is going to be as good as what you're going to see next. And he's in the green room, so I'll bring him on in a couple minutes, tell you a bit about him. But first of all, thank you for being here. The Quiet Warrior Show, we're approaching 300 episodes. Those are our interviews. And people are coming from all around the world to the show. We are live streaming right now on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, which is formerly Twitter, and I've been streaming on Rumble. Rumble is an amazing platform that's growing fast, better freedom of speech, in my opinion. So we're everywhere this morning. And what are we doing? Well, we're doing something different. We're going to be creating some content that I'm going to be putting into shorts. These are viral little clips that are going to be blasted all across the universe through social media because of the cause you're going to hear about with the guest, and his name is Greg Ould. So let me tell you about Greg Ould. He's a former, this is really cool, by the way. You get on all sorts of different people. And so I want you to paint a picture in your mind what this guy might look like. He's a former actor, freestyle wrestler, Greg Ould, dedicated community leader, and he's the co-founder of Blanket BC Society. And alongside his then toddler son, Ben, I'm glad the word then is there because otherwise I'd be calling him a toddler all his life. He launched this nonprofit organization. Get this, everyone. They've provided over 745,000 blankets to those in need, creating a culture of warmth and compassion across British Columbia. Wow. Now, his life, as he says, is defined by empathy and service. And these values were instilled in him by his parents, Brian and Martha. I'm sure he'll mention something about them. And he shares the same with his wife, Fumika. I hope I said that right. And their creative young daughter, Zoe. He's also has two children from a previous marriage. He's very proud of them, Ben and Emma. And he is a co-parent in a very successful way. Now, he has partnerships with places like the River Rock Casino and Resort for this flagship event they do every year called Drive on the Line. And that's what we're here to talk about. And it's their biggest annual event. And outside of all that, he has creative pursuits in acting, comedy, music, storytelling. And he's just started a new venture. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some live content with him. So I'll be sort of being a director in the studio so you can have fun watching all that, bloopers and all. And then we're going to keep Greg on for a little bit and just do an interview like I do on the show, learning about the deeper parts of his story, his personal life, the sector where he's working and creating this thing he does. And then, of course, the macro, which is the global world around him. What's influenced this guy to sort of be who he is? So now I'm going to bring him on the screen here. Hey, welcome, Greg Ould, the talking head.
Hi, Tom, how are you?
It's great. And we were just saying off screen that great haircuts. Look at that.
Shined it up just for you today.
You shined it up just for me. Hey, man, I want to tell everybody how we met, if I can just do this, that sure. In the work that you're doing with Blanket BC, you're everywhere sending out messages to people. So I get this message pop up in my inbox somewhere and like I'm all over it. And so we're here today. I want to help. So are you ready to do some fun stuff with me?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so what we're going to do is normally I just have a conversation back and forth, but I'm going to set these up so I can tape little clips, okay? Live shorts, as I said. So we'll just get you ready for this. So the first one is going to be, I'm going to ask you to tell us about Blanket BC, okay?
Sure.
And the thing here, Greg, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to full screen you when you're talking, okay? So I'll still be there. And so I'll go like 3, 2, 1. So welcome, Greg Ould, to the Quiet Warrior Show, and then I'll ask you to tell us about Blanket BC. You're going to take maybe a minute or two, and you're going to hit the keys, I would say, whatever you want to do, but that can go viral, like the 745,000 blankets or why you created this, whatever you want. Another short we're going to create is how can people help? You have this big drive line thing coming up. And I know you sent me some stuff, and I have this fact sheet here about the call to action. Okay, so something about that. And then I'll let you think about it. Is there anything else we could do that could be a little mini commercial that, you can think about that before we finish the little ones? Okay.
Sure.
But having said that, before we start all that, just tell us how you're doing. Where are you at right now? You're in this strange place, and you were driving through traffic and all this stuff.
I'm actually at my very good friend Daniel P. Block's home. He's a phenomenon in the photography world. He's got all the top of the line equipment. He's a great guy, big heart, big man with a big heart, bigger heart. And when I say big, I'm talking like strength. Like he's dynamo. But and he's got a great sense of humor, and I love this guy. I've known him for a long time, and he invited me out today to do some kind of commercial work where we can do some videos and whatnot for Blanket BC and the lead up to the Drive of the Line, as well as some stuff for next year when we turn 20, if you can believe it or not.
Wow. Man, that's 20 years goes by, doesn't it? Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I had hair back then.
Yeah, apparently you still do. You just have to turn your head upside down and it might look a little different. Yeah. I got to ask you this because it's part of the first interview discussion I wanted to have with you. We'll do that in a bit. But your background, man, is like they say people find themselves not placed in the right space in their careers or whatever they're doing. And then they have these defining moments to shift. And so, I mean, all the things I read out earlier, comedy, music, wrestling, how the heck did you get to creating Blanket BC? I'm just curious.
Well, oddly enough, I was actually, this is, 19 years ago and almost a month, October 15th, 2005. I was actually coming out of a movie theater from a movie I was in. This is how narcissistic I was back then. Sort of still am, but not to that degree. And as I was coming out of the movie theater, I saw this man in an alcove in Tinseltown, and I just met him like with our eyes. And instead of just like acknowledging him and moving on, I stopped and approached him, and I simply asked him, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" Because it was cold outside, but it like kind of like today, but I didn't think it was like overly cold.
Yeah.
But he said something that was very profound and has changed my entire being. I could use a blanket to survive the night.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. And exactly. Wow. Well, what do you say to that? So I knew that there was an Army Navy right around the corner.
Yeah.
And so I ran there because I know it was about to close. It was around 9:00. So I was running over there, and as I got to the door, the lady was putting up the chain on the door, and I begged her to please let me in. And she looked at me, and she saw something that I had, that feeling with that gentleman, and she acted towards me and allowed me in, and I was able to get the warmest blanket I could, and about 15 minutes later, I was approaching this man, this gentleman, who, by the way, was probably around 40, but he looked like he was 65, 70. Like he was very, very weathered.
Yeah.
And so as I approached this weathered looking man, all I remember him doing was staring at me with this awe, as if somebody actually listened and took action upon his request for the very first time. No. And so when I gave him the blanket, I don't remember any words being spoken. I just remember that look. But it wasn't until later on that night when I got home and my son was up and he wanted to play.
This is Ben.
This is Ben. This is my son, Ben. So, having that daddy, that father-son time, it's always important, even late at night, instead of just putting him back to sleep. I played with him a little bit. And as we were playing with those toys, I kept thinking back about that interaction I had with that gentleman. And so I took it upon myself to talk to Ben in a way that he would understand. and I'm not talking gaga goo goo,
Yeah.
because he was
Yeah.
22 months old. You talk to him like an adult. You say, Ben, I just had a wonderful interaction. That means a talk with somebody, like I'm talking to you, and with a gentleman who really needed a blanket. And I went out and I gave it to him, and it made me feel really good.
Yeah.
How would you like it if you and I went around and we collected blankets and we gave them out? And almost like Batman and Robin, we're instead of fighting crime, we're fighting homelessness and we're fighting loneliness. We're taking action upon people's requests.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and we're giving the warmth from our heart. And if you can see, that's what that says
Yeah,
right here.
I
It
see
comes from
that.
the heart and our
That's pretty amazing, man. I want
Yeah,
to put it now that you're just getting me emotionally into your story. I'm going to put some on the screen here and let's take a look at a few pictures. Just tell us what we're looking at. The
sure.
first image is the image of the show. We'll skip past that, but just let me just put it on the screen there. So what that one there in the background. What's all those things piled up there?
Those are actually hospital sheets. So
Wow.
we for a very, very long time we had this amazing and wonderful partnership with Cabro Linen Systems, and they were at the time throwing out tens of thousands of metric tons of
Yeah,
blankets into the landfill. So uh,
that's
I met this
crazy,
guy.
eh?
Yeah, it is crazy. So a lady called me up and says, "Hey, I hear that you're collecting blankets. I do the same thing, but I think you might want to talk to somebody over at Cabro." And so I did, and we had started a great relationship for many, many, many years, where we were basically taking about, and not just those blankets or sheets, but like all sorts of blankets. And we were bringing in about 35 to 40,000 blankets a year
Wow.
from them. Just imagine all that in the landfill.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's
so
incredible.
it all eventually gets there. It's just we
Yeah.
want to repurpose things and reuse them as often as we can until
Yeah.
they're just garbage.
And tell us what we're seeing in this one.
Oh, well, that is actually Langara students who did a big blanket drive for us recently. And we love working with colleges and universities. So if there's anyone from the college and universities or even high schools or elementary schools and they want to do a blanket drive, call
Yeah.
us. We would love to participate with you guys. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see students get together and volunteer, because that's what Blanket BC is all about. It's about taking action,
Yeah.
right? Anybody can go to, a big organization, write them a check. But what do you see? What do you feel?
Exactly. I can feel the passion from you. And by the way, in the picture there, your hair's coming along nicely. What about this one? Where's this one taken?
That is on the Drive on the Line. That's actually that's at, I believe, Marine Drive Station on the
Oh, I
Canada
see.
Line.
Yeah.
And that's probably a few years back, because I have a different
Very
pair of
cool.
glasses. So that was
Yeah.
it's probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Now, for those who are, because we're an international audience, so some might see this, the Canada Line, just explain what the line is.
The Canada Line. The Canada Line is our premier, and I say premier with a capital P, transit system. We are an extension of the SkyTrain. We're a Olympic legacy project that will live on for a very long time. It'll probably outlive all of us. When I die at 205, it'll still probably be here. And it's wonderful. It's a transit system that goes from Waterfront out to Richmond and to YVR Airport. So I got to work there. That's been my job for 15 years as a Canada Line attendant. I'm a very, very proud
Really?
Canada
I
Line
didn't know
attendant.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there you go. You
Canada Line, I
something
didn't.
new. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's interesting. You capital P. You got this love on for P's. You're buddy with Peabody or P somebody. Now you got this P. For all those who are watching, I have guests sometimes come in. My wife and I from out of town, right? And we'll say we got to take SkyTrain. They go, "What's that?" Everyone, ALRT, Automated Light Rapid Transit System. If you come to Vancouver, you look up and you see our train above the ground on these stilts. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like amazing. And that's a fun picture. I think we have one more to look at. Tell us what we're seeing there. Anybody you want to mention or anything?
Again, those are some more Blanketeers, and that's my son. That's my son in the middle. Yeah, this is definitely about 5 years ago. Because
the guy in the middle is your son with all the hair. What a good
Yeah,
looking
all
boy.
that beautiful hair. Yeah, he's a spitting image of me, which is kind of sad because in about 20 years he's going to look like this.
Proud dad. That's amazing, man. And I like
He's
that little,
awesome.
yeah. And for those who are on the podcast and will listen to this, they can't see the photos, but everyone, there's a young woman holding a little thing. It says "Share the warmth." Tell us
Yeah,
about that
yeah.
that statement, because there's this thing I see about the warmth, and then on the screen you're Mr. Warmth. What's behind that?
Well, I always do hashtag
Yeah,
spread the warmth.
love
It's
it.
all about spreading the warmth. If you can spread the word, we'll spread the warmth. I come up with catchphrases and mottos over the years because I think it's really important. It's catchy and people like it. They want to be a part of something that's cool, right?
Yeah.
I'm not cool, but some of these hashtags are cool. I remember my daughter Emma, who's now 17. When she was younger, she produced her own little commercial for Blanket BC. She's sitting up on a bunch of blankets, and she basically, we were trying to send out when hashtags were just becoming a thing. We were trying to, I think we were sending it off to Jimmy Fallon. And
Really?
sure, yeah, we were trying to get on the show. That never happened. But if there's
This
a
looks-
producer or somebody that has anything to do with any of the late night shows, call
Hey,
me.
hey, everybody, listen, there's a
would be
call to
great.
action, and we have a good audience that might see this. Seems like it's in a gymnasium somewhere. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. That's actually out in Chilliwack. Again, that was a few years back, and because my kids are much younger. But boy, they loved to participate. As they get older, they want to do their own thing, and that's totally cool. Like I get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a school. I forgot the name of the school, but that's out in Chilliwack. And man, we had the best time. That was one of the most fun schools I had ever been a part of. I went there to do a speech. They said, 15 minutes. It turned out to be an hour.
Wow.
Because every kid had their hand up. They had so many questions. They actually turned off the heat for 2 days prior to us being there. They wanted to give, and it was cold. And so all the kids were actually wearing like coats, and they were given the opportunity to feel like they were
amazing.
Outside. So I think that was amazing. I think more schools should do that.
Well, first of all, I want to honor you, everybody. We're here with Mr. Warmth, Greg Ould. Greg, the thing is, so my first show I did this morning, as I mentioned, I was in studio this morning with somebody from Washington, D.C. I had a green golf shirt on, but you didn't even tell me what you just told me. But I went and put this sweatshirt on because I was thinking, how am I going to try to make that feeling that, hey, maybe it's a little chilly. And then for those who don't know, I looked outside, and what's happening outside today, it's raining, it's cold. And there's many, many times, man, when I walk the streets of Vancouver, because I'm very hypersensitive to people who are marginalized. And I wanted just to tell you that if you know my background, I spent a decade on a board of directors. I was chair actually, but it was for mental health, and met a lot of people. And then we eventually merged that into another society locally, a large one that they basically provide services, harm reduction services, places to stay for marginalized people or homeless people who don't have a home. When I was younger, I had a rough childhood. My dad was addicted to alcohol, and it was a very violent childhood, actually. It's part of my story that I tell to give hope that I turned out okay. But I was homeless roughly at age 12 or 13. I really didn't have a place I called home. I never had to sleep on the street, man, but I met a lot of people who went through things like I did, who did. And as I'll just finish on this, as I've been coming through my life and getting older, I've been really appreciating how just the little things like a blanket, sometimes even some type of food for people, it makes such a difference. And my last personal story for you is, just so you know, I'm connected by the heart to your story. A long time ago, I went to an event, and I did a lot of education work developing myself. And Tony Robbins, who most people know about, Anthony Robbins, and he had this initiative he started globally, the Basket Brigade, stuff like that, where you organize a group of people and you gave food hampers. And I did a little bit of that for a period of time, but I've never said this publicly on the airways before, but years ago, I went with my car and I bought 20 blankets and I threw them in the trunk because I couldn't do this other thing, but I actually put them in the trunk. And I was an executive in business at the time. Now I have my own company, but I would drive around, and anytime I saw somebody, I would stop, pull out a blanket, and say, I want you to have this, and looking in their eyes. And then the last part of that, I was giving a public talk once, and I had done some research about Robin Williams, who, we lost him. Yeah. Sadly, he was a legend. We lost him far too early, right? And in his contracts, I don't know if you know this, but in the contracts that he has when he shoots movies, there was a requirement that you hired people from the street, people who are marginalized. And so somehow God put you in my path to do this interview. And so what I'd like to do now is give you as much support as I can. And we're going to create a few little short videos within this. So you ready for the first one?
Hey, bring it on.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to put this on the screen now. Bring it. I love it. I want you to proof this. Can you read it? It's a stock ticker. Is it accurate? BlanketBC.org.
I need my reading glasses. BlanketBC.org. Donate and spread the warmth. Of course. I love it.
Do you like that, or do you want anything changed in it? Okay.
No, I think it's great.
Okay. What I also did is up in the right corner of the screen, I took my logo off for the show so that this can be repurposed so that when it's out there being used, it doesn't just broadcast my show logo. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pull out of the package of stuff he sent me something. I'll just talk to you for a minute. Today, everybody, it's all about a call to action, how we can help Greg. So this first one we're going to do is I want you to explain whatever you want, but drive the line, and then how to help. And there were 3 key points here: volunteer on the Canada line, monetary donations, in kind. However you can put that. And if you're doing it in like little shorts, it'd be like somewhere between up to 2 minutes. That's a lot of time, right? And you're pretty awesome on camera. So when you're ready, exactly. I'm gonna edit that part out just so you know. Okay.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so hang on here. So we're good. I'm just gonna get a couple things organized. And so I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. And that's when you basically go. And remember, just be yourself. This call can be edited or anything. So what we're gonna do first is the one about the drive the line. What is it? That's the question. What is drive the line, or what is Blanket BC? However you want the commercial to be looked. Okay. So let me just full screen you, my friend. And I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then you can start talking. And when you're done, just say done. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So we'll just put this on here. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Blanket BC's Drive on the Line is Blanket BC's flagship event. It takes place every 3rd week of November. And it's where our blanketeers, our blanket ambassadors, and our warmth warriors get to hang out at stations along the Canada line and accept your kind donations, whether they're warm donations of blankets, toques, mittens, gloves, socks, or scarves, or your monetary donations that will go towards the operations of Blanket BC. It's the perfect opportunity to participate and get those hours in. Volunteer hours are very important for students, and they're just good for your health. Those who volunteer on a regular basis live up to about 150 years old. So I would recommend it 100%. But definitely, volunteering with Blanket BC is not only good for yourself, it's great for the community, and it creates a beautiful community, which is what the BC and Blanket BC stands for. So participate any way you like. Just go out there and hashtag spread the warmth. Done.
Oh, that was awesome, man. I was having a good time, and you made me laugh, so I had to be careful I didn't laugh out loud. You're such a fun guy. Hey, okay, the next one we're going to do is about... did you tell us about the legacy of the 745,000 blankets? Did you say that in that clip at all?
Not yet, no, but I can
Okay.
I can do that as a separate thing for sure.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Blanket BC and very
Yeah.
briefly, and yeah.
Yeah, I want to sort of create this wow factor so that when this is seen, it's like, oh my gosh, look at this legacy, and I want to be part of that. So, yeah. So just again about, I'll tell you the focus would be, I'm the co-founder of Blanket BC, and here's what we've done, and then the 745,000 blankets and growing, etc.
Mhm.
Anything you want, okay? So
Sure.
just tell me when you're ready.
Anytime. I'm ready anytime.
All right, man. So I'm gonna pull myself off.
Mhm. Blanket BC is a nonprofit organization here in beautiful British Columbia. We go around collecting and distributing blankets and warm clothing for shelter programs and families in need, as well as working with Indigenous communities all across BC. We have, since 2005, been able to collect through a lot of our amazing events like the Drive and the Line, over 745,000 blankets to date. That's an astonishing number. If you were to take each blanket end to end, you would be able to wrap around this world 2.5 times. Now that is the cause of global warming. Sorry. But not really, because those blankets are lifesavers. They help people survive the night. And when you survive the night and you make it through that next day, your whole life can change. So there's an immediate impact that we have due to your amazing donations, whether they're monetary or in kind, like just giving a blanket. It's as simple as that. You're going to help save lives. So thank you so much to all who have participated through the years. And I'd like to give out a big special shout out to all of the amazing blanket ambassadors. And those would be the folks that work on our board of directors. They have worked tirelessly over the years. And if it wasn't for them, Blanket BC would not be here. We wouldn't exist for 19 years. So I want to give a big shout out to all past, present, and future board members for all of their amazing, hard, passionate, and dedicated work. So again, blanketbc.org, send us a like, do a follow, whatever those are. We would love to see you participate with Blanket BC. Thanks so much. And hashtag spread the warmth. Done.
Okay, I love it. I love the little hashtag thingy there.
Hashtag. Well, my daughter came up with that when she was younger, doing a little video, and it's very. And I always do that now. I was like, hashtag spread the warmth.
She's creative, man. You even told us that she's creative. I think this board of director thing too. Yeah, we can maybe get some information in the show notes when I put this out there.
Yeah,
what you need for future leaders and things, how often they meet. But let's go into the next segment. This could be the third one, and it's really the powerful one about the call to action. So I just have a note page here. It says the need and call to action. So if you can, in your own way, make this a powerful, I need your help or however, and then tell us all the things you need. So I think one, like the volunteer, monetary donation, in kind, whatever you want. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think this is the one I'll get scheduled virally a lot more than anything, just because we're trying to get people to come. The other thing I wanted to get your permission for, Greg, is if I can put this, I'm just going to see how I can do it. So just stand by for a second. I want to put an image on the screen. Tell me if you see it. And if it would distract you if we put it up. See, that just covers you up.
That's okay. Here, I'll just do this or do this, and
or actually, no. You know what we can do. You can just say now what you're going to see an image. The image on the screen that's just covering up my head. It's more important than my head. It has a QR code, and the idea is people can, when they're watching it, scan it with their phone. Right. Mm-hmm. That's what that was. Right. It was a QR code.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is, if you put yourself in the shoes of who's going to watch this, they're going to go, I want to help. And then some people go, I don't have time to go to that website. But if we say there's a QR code right now on the screen, it's going to be up there for 30 seconds. Take your camera out, take a whatever, connect to it. If that helps, I can put that up.
Sure, go for it.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, why not?
All right, Matt. So I'm going to take
I'm
myself
pretty
off.
easy. I'm pretty easy. Like I think Steven Spielberg said it best. Greg, you are the greatest actor I've ever got to work with. And then I woke up.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to.
There was something that popped up on the screen and then it disappeared. It's magic. But yeah, are we doing this now? So there it is. The drive on the line. It was there. It was there. Now it's gone. But the drive on the line again.
Sorry, Greg. I screwed you up there. I'll say 3, 2. Say 3, 2, 1, go, and then it's all yours. And then you can cue me when to put that image up. And if you want to have fun, tell me to take it.
Sure. Am I just talking about this particular drive on the line, or
whatever you want? But I think you want volunteers and you want people to help with this, right?
Yeah, so yeah. And there's other opportunities as well. So if they can't make it for this particular weekend, we have other opportunities.
Okay,
for sure.
So let's make it the call to action for this weekend, and then the call to action for whatever always. You can
sure.
tie it in the same, because my AI viral video creator, my AI thing will probably produce multiple clips from that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So stand by. Let me pull myself off here, and I'll say 3, 2, 1, go. Okay.
Hey guys, it's Mr. Warmth here. The coolest thing about working with Blanket BC, especially like this weekend, is it's going to make someone feel very warm, but you are going to feel cool by doing it. So if you want to participate, we'll do a little pop-up right here, and you'll see that. You see that right there? Boom! Just take a little photo of that QR code, and you can also donate directly online, monetary, and you can let us know. Is the money specifically for a blanket, or is it for operations? Whatever your donations, monetarily speaking, you just have to explain how you want us to use it. Okay, so yeah, it's awesome. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be hundreds of people throughout the system participating. So yeah, come on out. And if you can't make it out, that's cool. I'm just going to hunt you down. I'm just kidding. What I will do though is give other opportunities. We have a lot of really cool events coming up in the 2025. So you got to follow us. You got to like us. You got to participate on social media and just communicate. Let us know what you want to do, and we'll do it. So thanks so much. All right, I'm done.
That's really well done, Greg. I really like the part where you went like that in your head, and you looked at the when you went. I like that the piece where you interacted with the picture. I've never seen anybody do that. It was so clever.
Oh yeah, my if you ever get the chance to talk to my good friend Daniel P. Block from Daniel P. Block Photography, he'll tell you some stories of our interactions when he does photo shoots with me. He once said, "You're funnier than Robin Williams."
I think we should have that conversation with Robin Williams and ask him what he thinks. Oh, you might have to.
I have a story about Robin Williams. I met Robin. He was my hero. Yes, he was my hero growing up. And
where?
I met him at just outside the Orpheum. And actually, I met him inside the Orpheum after I was up on the cheap seats. And people were given like closer seats before the show, but they were all in pairs. And they would ask questions. Nobody could answer the questions. I'm the one answering all the questions, but they wouldn't give me any of the tickets because I was just by myself. And I literally got the last ticket on the phone.
No.
And but it turned out great because I made her laugh enough that she actually went backstage, told Robin apparently about this guy.
No way.
Knows everything about you, and he's funny, and he's cracking jokes. Everyone's laughing, and and I ended up getting a front row seat, and I sat beside some big superstars, Elvis Costello and his
Yep.
wife, got her name, Diana Krall,
Yeah,
Diana
yeah,
Krall,
yeah.
and a few other celebs in the front. And yeah, before the show, I was putting them in stitches as well. And actually, I think it was Elvis said, you should be up there first. I said, no, I should be up there last. Oh, Robin should open for me. And because I mean, let's face it. But in all honesty, after the show, because you're all these celebs go into the back, to go meet with Robin,
Yeah.
and I'm being in the front row, you're also going to be the last to leave. Well, it turns out
That's right.
as I'm waiting, some big guy, and I mean big, he looked like Andre the Giant with a tan, and he tapped on my shoulders, and I'm like, oh, geez, are you hungry? I thought he was going to eat me. And he says, come with me. I'm like, okay. And he took me backstage, and as I'm approaching, he moved to the side, and there is Robin without a shirt.
No,
Yeah.
the carpet himself.
I was
he's a
like,
hairy
wow,
guy.
you're yes. It's like, I thought he was a Furby. I was like, whoa. And I didn't know what to say. I was just like,
Wow.
thank you. And he goes, no, thank you, son. And right when he said son, I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
That is one, though. I mean, gosh, yeah, we lost him too soon. I've watched him only on TV, but speaking of comedy, we just went and saw Sebastian Maniscalco and Russell Peters, 2 separate nights.
Oh,
Dude,
yes.
There's one thing about making better mental health, man. Just go. My wife's got a very bubbly personality. She's Italian. We sat there, and it is like incredible to be laughing. And so you have a bit of a gift. That's so awesome.
There's no better medicine than laughter.
Isn't there?
It doesn't. Yeah. There's none. My good friend Clyde Hill passed away just recently from cancer, pancreatic cancer, and and he was a big burly black man, beautiful soul, and did a lot of. He was a legend in the music industry here in Vancouver. He actually started Nickelback. He got Nickelback. All
Chad
famous.
Kroger.
So, yeah, and I went to see him in hospice, and he was in a chair and being wheeled around by our mutual friends and brother in music, Sean Meehan. And as I approached, he was very sick, but he looked at me and went, "Oh." Because he knew I was gonna try and make him laugh, and I did.
It's a gift. I can't imagine hanging out with you on the line on a shift and just be peeing myself. Hey, there's another pee. Hey, I want to interact with you a bit. Yeah, exactly. I want to interact with you. Just a couple of things I want to talk to you about. Do you have a few more minutes for us? Okay.
Of course.
And then I have a special
for you, Tom.
For me, Tom
the
Dutta.
legendary Tom Dutta. Now I believe you are a bestseller, Amazon book bestseller.
You're humbling me, but I am.
I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you.
And on top of that, really, I'm going to call the New York Times and say, hey, you need to talk to my buddy Tom. Let's get him on the bestseller list right now. We got to get that done.
I think we should create the P list, something new, make it go one up in New York Times. Yeah, I will actually will work that out, but I will personally autograph one of my books for you. I'd like you to read it because it's my life story too, which would be interesting in your feedback. Hey, listen, a couple things. I'm recording this to put this out as a short. So tell me if I'm volunteering on the Canada line, tell me what would I be doing when I'm doing that? Just explain that to me.
Well, Tom, that's a great question. When our blanketeers and our blanket ambassadors and warmth warriors, and I'm gonna tell you a story about the word warmth warrior shortly.
Love it.
When they're out on the line, they're going to be hanging around a big box, a big bin, a 4x4 bin, graciously donated by the Great Little Box Company. And nice little plug there.
Nice.
And they basically hang out at the station. We have these really cool tins. we get these little tin cans wrapped in red and slapped with a sticker of Blanket BC on there, and we try and get the kids to shake the money and try and get as much money as we can. We're trying to raise $10,000.
Okay,
So like that's always been our goal. The closest we ever got was like $9,200. I was like post-pandemic or pre-pandemic. And post-pandemic, things have gotten really low. So we gotta climb back up that ladder. Right?
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
They hang out there, and they talk about Blanket BC. I will show up to all the stations at all of the. There's the Marine Drive station, and you can see the mountain of blankets. That's just one station, and that's usually happens 2 or 3 times during the day. We have to take off all those and then load them onto a truck. My good friend Kyle Cooley is going to be actually helping participate with getting us a truck this year, and he's actually going to drive it, so I don't have to be out and about. I can just hang out with the amazing Blanketeers, and we just try to raise that awareness. That's what it's all about. You know, we don't have money to advertise, so this is it.
Well, everybody, let's raise the roof. I mean, $10,000 is a lot, especially post-COVID for some people. Let's get that there. What about scheduling? How does, say I wanted to volunteer on the line, how does that all work? Who do I call? How do I get that sorted out?
It's very easy. You go to blanketbc.org/volunteer, and then you scroll down to the form. You fill out the form. That form goes to me, and then I pass it on to the volunteer coordinator. This year, again, it's my wife, Famika.
Okay.
Bless her heart it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for one person. And so, she puts in a lot of hours after putting our little Zoe down. She's up until 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
It's amazing
doing this. Yeah.
All right. So everybody, call to action. Go to blanketbc.org/volunteer and put your name down there to volunteer on the line. So I'm going to make a presentation to you now, just a couple quick things to help you towards that 10,000 goal. I kind of put this out across my network. I didn't have a lot of time, and it's the beginning. I know more will come in. So I'm announcing to you that I have from Pauline in White Rock. She works in the optometry industry, working with optometrists to help them grow their businesses. She's an incredible person. She has donated $100, which I have in my pocket for you.
Hey, thanks, Pauline. Thank you. Mwah. Big heart, big love. Thank you.
And in addition to this media package, Tom Dutta Like Butter from Anna and I, another $100 is coming your way.
Hey, thank you.
So everybody,
that's awesome.
You're welcome. I mean, I want to speak by example, everybody. So it's not the amount, $25, $50. Gregory will tell you every bit counts.
I'm going to add to that. Personally, I'm going to put in $100. So that's $300 we just raised.
Let's do that again so we get arrested for showing money on camera. No,
there we go.
Look at that. Our money
I'm adding $100.
You know what? That's pretty amazing. Everybody, so we got it on the screen there, blanketbc.org. The reason we're doing this is to get you to match those pledges, whether it's $100 or $50, $20, please. Let's flood that in. Your goal is $10,000. How do people know as you're doing this Drive the Line when you've achieved that or what it is? Do you put that on your website somewhere?
We will afterwards. It's because it's a lot of change.
Yeah.
Usually my dad would where the River Rock comes in is they give us a hotel stay, and we use the hotel room as kind of like a base camp. And we will. My dad, he's going to be 80 this year. God bless my dad. I love him, Brian. I love you, Dad. I love you, Pops. But he would literally sit there and count all the change one by one. And then we had a counter. He would do that. And then he's like, I'm at the casino. No, Dad. No. Stop it.
You just read your mind. So by the way, God bless. Shout out to your father there. What was his first name again?
Brian.
So here's the reason why you're a blessed man. My father passed away in 2018, and so I miss him every day. And my wife's dad, Shenzo, he's 90 something, amazing, great long jeans, the Italian man he was. There's all that red wine. But for all of us who have fathers, past or present, but it makes me pause and think about one thing, that a lot of the people who need blankets who are not as maybe accessible to the lifestyle we have. I'll put it that way, in a kind way. If you really sit and talk to them like Robin Williams would, as he'd come, one of the stories I learned was I was doing a public talk at a society once, and this person stood up and said, "You just mentioned Robin Williams hires people for his contracts from the street." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I want to tell you a story. Robin was in town doing a movie shoot, and he came and he sat on the sidewalk for 2 hours talking to me." That's incredible. And he looked me in my eyes like I was a human being. And so I realized, as you get to talk to some of the people that benefit from what you're doing and you dig deeper in their stories, you find the stories. My dad left me, or I don't have somebody to nurture and love me. I don't have those support systems around me. And so bringing that warmth and that kindness to them, man, what you're doing, it goes far and deep, everybody. So that little $100 you can throw at this cause, it can be magnified or amplified. So God bless you for what you're doing.
Appreciate that. It reminds me of a story. Yesterday, I was talking to a fellow from the streets. His name is Walter, and he's 63 years old. Looks much older. Obviously, very weathered from,
Yeah.
being on the street. Um, when you sit down and talk to people, and you learn their history, not their problems, their
Yeah.
history,
Yes.
you'll understand why they have problems. But sometimes you, like Walter last night, I asked him, tell me, what was your best time in life? And he goes, I got to fight George Chuvalo. He was a
No.
fighter, and he got to
Oh,
hang out with George and Muhammad Ali because George brought him to ringside, and he had these amazing stories to tell. And he was a very sick man,
hmm.
but he remembers the good times, and it put a smile on his face, where to the
Yeah.
point where he actually told me, he goes, and my face hurts. I says, why? He goes, I don't think I've smiled or laughed so hard in such a long time.
Oh my goodness.
And it's stuff like that
Yeah.
that we can't take people for granted. You don't know people's story, you don't know their
Yeah.
history.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why they're there. You just need to kind of dig down deep and be respectful. Just listen.
Yeah.
Don't tell them that, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and shouldn't be doing that. Now, I'm not for drugs. I'm dead set against drugs. I think drugs are just pure evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we really want to if we really want to make a difference in this country, we have to absolutely get rid of the drugs. Now, there's a lot of organizations out there that would disagree with me. Um, I don't care. If you really want to get rid of drugs, or if you want to get rid of homelessness in a big way, at least reduce it by more than half, get rid of the drug problem.
Yeah.
That's
I
number one. So give people the help they need,
totally
and
agree.
give them the
Yeah.
housing they want. It's not our it's our it's not a privilege. It's our right. Everybody in this really on the planet should have a home. And in Canada, we're supposed to be a first world nation, but if you go to First Nations reservations, where they don't even have clean water. I mean,
Yeah.
Gord Downey was talking about this before he passed away. He was passionate about it, about getting clean water and cleaning up the Northern Ontario reservations.
Yeah.
We should be doing that in every community and across this so-called great nation, And I don't mean to be so serious now, but when you really think about it, we have to take things very seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open this conversation right now, and I'm going to invite, and I really hope this gets through to our prime minister and or the leader of the opposition. Okay, whether it's Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, it doesn't matter. David Eby, I'm willing to sit down and talk to and listen. But here's the thing: I want them to listen to us. I'm the one, and our Blanketeers are the ones that are boots on the ground. We are the ones talking and listening to the folks on the street, literally on the street. I'd like to see these leaders sit down for 2 hours and talk to somebody on the street. Don't tell me they don't have time. I work 19 hours a day and I find time.
Amen
So,
to that. Well, first of all, it's funny you said don't want to get serious. I'm going to say you just got capital P passionate. It came out of
okay.
you, but let's go there for a bit because this is storytelling, and that's what I do. That so a lot of these politicians will come to town, they'll go on microphones and they'll do appearances and things. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. There is if Greg, you're putting 19 hours a day of work and effort. I welcome that pledge, and hopefully we can get some attention on that. Which brought me in my mind to how I interviewed former Premier Mike Harcourt just weeks ago. And it's sitting on my feed, my YouTube channel. You can watch it. I had him for 90 minutes in a studio, and he's quite an amazing guy. But his whole passion now, because his story, he fell off a mountainside and became a partial quadriplegic. And shameless plug, I'm about to have Rick Hansen do a show with me early next year.
Oh, I love Rick, by the way.
So we'll maybe somehow try to get you to connect too. But the interest, why I brought that up is Harcourt was telling his whole thing. He called it Plan B, and he wrote a book about this. I guess that what do you do with yourself when you're broken? And his whole passion now is sustainable cities, or creating an environment for people so they can live better lives. Because here's a guy who has to walk with a walker, and he had to change his whole outlook on life. So I wanted to go into this thought process with you. And this is something personal with me, that in my platform, a lot of what I'm doing, bringing you to the show, bringing people here, we've done almost 300 interviews now. The show's recognized widely in 19 countries, is because it's a platform for storytelling. When we tell stories, we connect to emotions and other things, and people will stay a while and listen. But it's within the stories. And I'm second year into a doctoral degree I'm doing at London University, or Middlesex University in London. So that's why a lot of this storytelling interests me, that I've been researching identity and masks. So the masks we wear and the true identity of who we are underneath the mask. And there's one really cool nugget, Greg, that came up, that the more I learn your story, the more I learn about myself. You see, when I'm talking to you, and my thoughts are going, and I'm not pausing to reflect on my own thoughts. But when I sit here and you talk to me and you told me that last story, my brain is taking that in, and it's unlocking things deeper in me, thought patterns connected to your story. So I'm actually learning more about myself. The power of all these people who are out there who need your help and our help have stories. There's a common thread, I believe, across all these people, no matter what age they are, if they're on the street or if they're needing support. And that is somewhere in their early beginnings, somewhere along the lines, there was a triggering event, an event where maybe they weren't loved, or maybe somebody said something to them. And the brain, basically, in the amygdala, which is the deeper part of it. I talk about brain science because I had a brain injury in 2018, falling on my head from an accident.
In the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. What I didn't know is when we're younger, up to the age 25, we don't have the use of the frontal lobe of the brain. So anything you say, anything I hear, anything I see, for a young person goes into the brain, stores in the amygdala, which is the emotion center, and wires them. And it replays unconsciously over and over. So I interviewed this guy once who did a TED Talk, and he was from the street. You might know him, but I won't mention his name for privacy right now. And I was talking to him. I said, man, what's your story? Why did you spend so many years on the downtown east side, overdosing and blah, blah, blah? And how did you get out of it? And then he brought up his father, and he said this. He said, I wish, he could have done anything. He could have punched me in the face. He could have done whatever he wanted. He could have punched me in the face, but I wish he hadn't said this. And his father would say to him, you're no good. You're stupid. You're a loser. That one single thought played over and over again and overruled his conscious thinking, and basically made him give up and go to the street on drugs and things. So here's my story that I bring to a point here. Everything you're doing, everything I do, and maybe there's collaboration here between our platforms. It's for me, it's for the children who become youth, who become adults, who run the world. And being a CEO from industry myself, Greg, I've worked with many toxic leaders and people who just can't treat people well. And when you dig down and they unravel their stories, they tell their stories like you just did, you find that little thing that somebody said, or that little chip on their shoulder. And so I look at a lot of the people when I see them marginalized or out on the streets and walking like zombies on drugs. The first thing I think about is, what's your story? What did somebody say? Because you were born innocent and gold and a beautiful child like Ben and like Zoe, something got in you and created the pathway for you to give up and get here. But here's the cool thing. I did it. I got to unwire those thought processes like many people and come back and use that to power my greatness. So for everything that you're doing, man, with this cause, I'm so excited. I want to ask you one more question before we move to honoring you with something. That is, this question is about, I call it overcoming challenges in the nonprofit world, building and sustaining Blanket BC. So my thought was that, I've learned that there's long hours, there's 20 years of work almost in this. And I've come from nonprofit, so I've worked on boards, and we're always pushing up against the need for money, the need for resources, et cetera, et cetera. Just talk to us about that as a leader. What's the biggest obstacle that you're facing at Blanket BC? And what do you need to sustain this mission longer term?
It's funny that I'm taking a pause here because I want to say the right thing. I I think it's really important. First off, I really don't consider myself too much of a leader. I consider myself just as an actioner, a doer. Yes, I try and lead by example.
Yeah.
But I wish I could put myself in that category of leader, but I don't think I'm there yet. I think I have a lot more learning to do. I'm a slow learner. I always have been. I make more mistakes than I don't. and,
And you have by the way, you have great humility, man.
No, I definitely don't have that either. I can
Okay.
say I've got so many awards for being humble.
That's the word. You're humble.
Yeah. But I think it's important to surround yourself with the right people. Over the years, I've surrounded myself with just amazing, passionate people,
Yeah.
and a lot of them they feel my vibe and they get it and they want to participate. And then some of them realize, oh, there's a lot of work here involved. And then they shift to like, I don't think I can do this. Sometimes I really love someone's energy, and I'm like, hey, can you join our team? And they join our team, and without me really asking right questions like, do you have any experience? So that's a really important question. So I think going forward, and we're starting to rebuild the team, and I would love to be able to invite and have people who have had great experience, people who are professionals like CGAs, you know,
Yeah.
people who are accountants, lawyers,
Yeah.
people who are CEOs of bigger businesses, so they have an understanding. I would love big business and small business,
Yeah.
but they would have a better understanding of how to do business. Now, this is a nonprofit. We're not here to profit on anything,
That's right.
but what we should profit on is the work that we do affects the people that we help. And that's our profit. Our profit is by being able to provide for others. And as simple as a blanket, which is really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe 19 years, 745,000 blankets. And I'm standing here with you, Tom Dutta. I mean, I might as well just quit, actually.
And there he goes. A big
But-
P.
The big P.
Yeah,
But I think it's really important to really get the right people. Like Sean Williams is a very good close friend of mine from Virginia, from Ewing,
okay.
Virginia. He sits on our board of directors as our secretary. He's a dynamo. He's an amazing
Yeah.
guy. with a funny accent, and I love him to death.
And Americans usually tell us we have funny accents.
Right, eh? I don't know what he's talking about, you hoser. But honestly, he was with my board for a little while, then he left, and then he came back, and he's just a dynamo. And Christina Wiseman, again, I've known her over 20 years. She was in the first board when we first started as a board, and I went away for a little while and came back, and now she's leaving again, but she's going to stick around as our marketing lead. I've got Aman Sood, who's in the financial world, and Zara, I cannot pronounce her last name, but it's Persian name. She's a sweetheart. She's got a doctoral degree, and she's very, very intelligent. And you know, with my family, whether it's Ben, and he's on by the way, you know, he's on the board. He sits on the board of directors now, right? He started this organization when he was 2. Yeah.
Wow.
So he started when he was 2 years old, and now he sits on the board of directors, right? And his 2-year tenure is coming up, and he's probably going to move on and do the things that he wants to do. He's almost 21 now, so I think it's time for him to do, you know, fly wherever he wants to go and do his thing. And if he comes back, great. If not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
And my daughter Emma, I would hope that she would also join our board when she's old enough. She's only 17 right now. And maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. That's okay. And my little Zoe right now, she's my little dynamo. Reminds me of Ben and Emma when they were her age, and she wants to just do everything with daddy. Right. And so having good family and having good values and integrity are very, very important. And stick to what you know. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Honestly, I have not a clue. I'm horrible at grants. Can never seem to get a grant. So I do need grant writers. That would be.
I was gonna say, asking for grants is one thing, but writing grant applications is a skill set, right?
It's a skill set, and I'm not good at it. I'm good at presenting. I'm good at being the face of the organization, which I'm great with. It'd be nice if it came with a paycheck, but.
Let me just put something on the screen here. I give you my little in studio here. Actually, no, I'll pull that off because I have something I want to show you. But I brought up that conversation for a reason, and let me just change something on the screen here. There we go. I had my monitor that had shut down there. Everybody, the reason why I asked that question, and my wrap-up question as we finish this will be, so you can think about it. When you're done with this world, with this legacy you've created and are creating, what will it look like? So just hang on to that for a minute. But I want to share a story with you because that's what I do. So I told you I was on a not-for-profit board for a decade, but when I got on there, it was a struggling organization. And it wasn't that it didn't have things that society needed, because it actually is in a space that saves lives and does a lot of things, like great things, much like you're doing. Volunteering, getting people on the board, getting people to stay a while, getting people in to commit, and they get tired too. There's only so many hours a day was a big challenge. And so I found, I was younger back then, but I found my way into the board chair position, and they asked me to because nobody wanted it. And I'm going like, and I was in business, right, as an executive. So I was like, okay, I didn't even know I was getting into. But here's what I did. I realized that the things in my life that I commit to and I stay with are things that have a deep heart connection. As an example, I have a younger brother who has Tourette syndrome, which is mental illness. I've suffered with my accident through depression. So mental illness is a passion. My father was an addicted alcoholic. Many, many gifts he gave the world after that through AA, but addiction is a passion. And I've known people who, when I say marginalized, who basically don't have a home. So they're either sleeping in a blanket on a park bench, or they found their way into a society that maybe can give them a bed. So what we did was we rebuilt the board. We had this meeting and the board were tired. And so I was kind of a driver, and I said, okay. And I got the board aligned. And I said, some of you have to go home. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We're going to honor you and thank you for your service. But if you're tired and we need to know, do you want to stay? Because we have a 3-year vision. We need to grow. So a few of them went home and we honored them. And then we went out and we recruited 4 or 5 people for the board. But I remember we had 3 questions, so that they would send me out to do coffee. So I'll just finish the story on this, Greg. If you and I met, I would say the first question was, tell me about why you want to be on the board. What's your lived experience to the cause of the organization? And I would always look for lived experience as somebody who had something connected personally, or they walked alongside somebody who was experiencing whatever we were serving. And the people we brought on the board that had lived experience stayed longer term. And then we put in place board terms and things, and we did proactive. The other thing I want to say to everybody is go to blanketbc.org if you're listening to this part of our chat now, and connect with Greg. But people don't always realize, Greg, like you've taught us, that an organization, like you said, you're not a leader. Well, I think you're a great leader in many ways, because leadership is not just what you might perceive it to be. But people who come to boards have skill sets that, because we can't pay people to hire a big team of leaders around you, you build your board with skill sets, right? So that's one of the things that I'm calling out to connect, get on this drive, spread the warmth, everybody, and then find time to have a chat or a cup of coffee with Greg, talk about the organization and what it needs going forward. I just wanted to open up this conversation. My last question, though, is that's the one I just asked you. So what do you think, man? You've done all this stuff, and as this legacy is out there, when you're done with this world, with what you've done here and what's continuing, what do you want it to look like? What will the world be after you're done with it?
I would like for, number one, everyone to get along. Number two, I would like a world without drugs. And number three, I would like everyone to have a home and someone to share that home with. That would be nice. That would be, the legacy I would leave. That would be it. But I mean, the reality
cool.
is,
Yeah.
it's cool, but the reality is, it's like peace in the Middle East. They've been talking about that for 2,000 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
Get a hint, folks. Not gonna happen. Just saying. Although if you get me over there, if someone sends me over there, I could have this done in 2 days. No problem. No problem.
You could take Andre the Giant with you or something like that.
I'd be the greatest of all time. Yeah.
Well, I want to say this, that, when we look at this back and look at it, there's many, I've just met you, but there's many things people bring in their gifts, and your sense of humor is one, your passion for things, helping people. Whether you're doing this in 20 years or you've built an organization that sustains itself is not really what I think about here. I think about this, man, that over 20 years, you've planted seeds, you've planted thoughts, you've given somebody a blanket who's taken it and improved their life in some way. You can't go back and find all those people that you've helped. But wouldn't it be fair to say, and I'll just close with this, that collectively, all the love and the things you've put out in the world, right, are making a huge difference. And you'll never know just how big that is. But I honor you for doing what you're doing, because it's significant. So I have an award for you now, and we're going to just put that other camera on the screen. So I bet you didn't know you're getting a P award. That P thing's not going to go away for a while. Okay. So have you heard of the challenge coins? Have you heard of challenge coins?
Well, I have heard of it, and I, just so you know, I actually I've done my homework. I've been listening to your podcast, and
okay.
And by the way, my favorite was with John McComb. He interviewed me, and before he retired, and that was one of my awesome biggest for me to be interviewed by him. That was pretty awesome.
Thank you for mentioning John. Yeah, John's a legend. For those who are internationally don't know, John's was a veteran broadcaster, 45 years. When you go to episode 1 of my show, when I started this thing, dude, when I started it was me on a TV tray with a microphone in my living room. And I got John to interview me so I could explain the narrative of the show. And anybody coming on, I asked him to listen to it. By the way, my brain injury happened on the ride to conquer cancer. To do the ride, I had to borrow somebody's bike, and I borrowed McComb's bike to actually do the ride. So it's funny how the stories are connecting. But so you've done your homework, so I won't get into the explanation. But challenge coins, everyone, started in World War I, and people get them to connect to a community. AA's got their own, every organization out there. There's many that now have them. And so when I started the show, I created this. They're
cool.
hand painted and crafted. This is the front of the coin and they're pretty hefty. The back of it is, and if you don't know what Joseph Campbell's work is, it's about the hero's journey narrative.
Oh, very cool.
It's the detailed journey that heroes take. And that's a big part. Now, if I took off this sweatshirt on my shoulder, I've got tattooed the hero's journey. Oops, I think, Greg, your camera went off. There you are. He's back.
There I'm back.
And there he is enjoying his award by going off camera. Wouldn't you know it? What a
tear in my eye.
What a comedian you are. It's too funny. That's a magic moment. But I have this tattooed on my shoulder, the hero's journey. When I do sometimes public speaking, I say to people, the hero's journey is not just in me, it's on me, and I'll show that. But this is coming to you, and there's 300 under 300 in the world, and you're now part of the Quiet Warrior community because you've taken something and turned it into service to the world. So congratulations, man.
Thank you.
You and I will meet and you'll get this, and then I'll also get a book to you. So on that note, I'm going to let me take this camera off here. I'm going to just remove that and just let you have the last word. Anything you want to say before we let you go, man?
I want to just take this moment to, first off, Tom, thank you very much for taking this time out of your busy schedule to allow me to speak and learn about you and allow you to learn about me. And I also want to just take this moment to thank my family, specifically my son, my daughters, Emma and Zoe, my wife, Famika, my mom, Martha, and my dad, Brian. Also, my brothers, David and Andrew, who are always a pain in my ass, but I love them. And
Love it.
but they're my little brothers. I mean,
exactly.
Come on. They're always going to be a pain in my ass. But I'll say that we all have, messed up families. Nobody's perfect. If people hide behind social media posts, and it's like everyone's like all smiley, and then
it's not the real world.
It's not the real world.
No.
I'm certainly not perfect. My dad gave me a shirt when I was a kid. I'll never forget it. It says "Po Buddy's Nerfect," and that was that was a foreshadowing. I can tell you that was a foreshadowing. I thank them because of the fact that they are real with me. They keep me grounded as best they can. They don't feed my ego.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to have them. I'm blessed to have guys like Jesse Birch as a good friend, and Linda Campos as my best friend growing up since we were 3. Linda and Kenny were just like brothers and sisters, and my buddy, like my other brother Owen. I just celebrated 50 years on this earth, and
congrats, man.
Thank you. And I just I realized, who my friends really are. And it's not about the amount of friends that you have, it's the quality. And I've got some pretty damn
absolutely
quality. So thank you very much for this time. I really appreciate it. And hopefully maybe for our 20th, you can bring me back on and I can tell you all about the term warmth warrior and who from the Marvel world gave us that moniker. Because
really,
yeah.
Hey, there's a connection. Quiet Warrior Show, the Warmth Warrior. We definitely will have you back for the 20th. And everybody, I think you've heard today. So if you haven't heard of this before, go to blanketbc.org, as you can see there, and donate your heart out, volunteer, drive the line, get a hold of Greg, have a conversation. Man, just an honor. And we'll stay on for a minute after so I can connect with you about how I'm going to help you a bit more with that.
Thank you.
And so thank you.
Thank you to all the listeners and the viewers out there. I really
we'll have you back again. So everybody, find that true passion like you've heard from the old guy here, and find that purpose, live the life that you deserve and desire. We'll see you back again on the Quiet Warrior Show. It's been an honor. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for listening to the Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.